Want a delicious snack or side dish to any meal that's also a superfood for your gut? Then stick around and make fermented dilly beans with me. Hi, I'm Kimberly, and this is Faith and Feathers. Some of you might be thinking, what the heck is a dilly bean? Dilly beans get their name from the herb dill, used in the fermenting process along with green beans, thus dilly beans. They're a classic green bean snack, popular in the American South and Midwest. They've been around at least since the early 20th century. And what is fermentation? Fermentation is a natural process where microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, or mold break down sugars and other compounds, usually in the absence of oxygen, to produce substances like alcohol, gases, and acids. It's one of the oldest methods of preserving food, and it also improves the flavor and nutritional value of many foods. Plus, fermentation also contains probiotics, which are beneficial for gut health. Today, I'm using lacto-fermentation, in which the lactic acid-producing bacteria will break down sugars and carbohydrates in our green beans. Lacto-fermentation uses a salt and water brine to accomplish this. So let's get started. But stick around to the end because I'm going to go into more detail about how lacto-fermentation works. And if you are a person who has a hard time digesting vegetables or are having specific gut issues like me, I'm going to explain how fermentation can make it easier for you to digest vegetables and actually help to heal your gut. Okay, so I have everything ready to go. We've got our green beans trimmed on both ends. We've got our dill, garlic, and in two of them I'm going to put some crushed red pepper flakes because Junior Faith and Feathers likes a little zip in his food. You can add whatever spices that you like, but these are really the basics for traditional dilly beans. So first we're going to fill our jars. I like to get them filled about halfway and then put my garlic and dill. All right, we're going to add a few cloves to each jar and dill. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon crushed red pepper flakes in 2 of these. And then finish filling. To make the brine, you want to add 2 tablespoons of salt to a quart of water. The water should be non-chlorinated, and the salt should just be plain salt, no salt that has any anti-caking agents. Now, in order to assure that the green beans stay under the water, I have these weights. You can buy these online, but some people just use a rock from outside, sterilized of course, or they fold up a grape leaf and shove it in there tight to keep the green beans under the water. But that is very important. That is how we're going to ensure we don't get bacteria. Well, we want beneficial bacteria. It's the harmful bacteria we don't want. So once we place all our weights, then we have these, I have these cool pickling pipe lids. These don't allow oxygen to get in, but they let oxygen escape. When the CO gases begin to form, these ferments are going to produce gas, and unless the air can escape, it will build up until these jars explode. So it's very important to have some sort of lid that allows the gases to escape. If you don't have one and you just have a normal lid for your jars, it's important to burp your jars every day, which is essentially just unscrewing them, enough to let the air out. And there's our jars. Aren't those beautiful? We're going to put those somewhere out of the way, and in about 7 days, they'll be done. And over time, this water will turn cloudy, and the green beans are really going to break down, and they probably will shrink in size and really wind up taking up only about half the space. So you can really pack them in because they will break down. So how does lacto-fermentation work? For our dilly beans, salt is mixed with water to make a brine. When our green beans are completely submerged under the brine, they are protected from oxygen and potential mold. The salt brine inhibits bad bacteria and encourages beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus. The jars are left out at room temperature between 60 and 75 degrees for several days or weeks, depending on what you are fermenting and the taste you are going for. The lactic acid bacteria consumes the sugars in the food and produces lactic acid, CO2, and other compounds. Once fermented to your taste, which is usually tangy and sour, it's moved to your refrigerator to slow down the fermenting and to keep for several months to a year. How do I know my fermentation is working? You want to look for a sour, tangy smell and taste, bubbles in your brine from the CO2, and the brine will be turning cloudy. Sometimes a white film called chyme yeast covers the top of the water, but it's completely harmless. Just scrape it off. Warnings that your ferment went wrong would be a bad odor or visible mold. So why does fermenting food make digestion easier, and how is it good for us? Fermentation breaks down complex carbohydrates, fiber, and natural sugars in the food. It's like pre-digestion, which makes the food's nutrients more easily accessible for our bodies and reduces our digestive workload. It also breaks down and reduces anti-nutrients, which left to their own devices block the absorption of minerals like iron, calcium, and zinc. Fermentation also produces digestive enzymes that assists our bodies in breaking down food more efficiently. And it also produces beneficial probiotic bacteria, which is beneficial to our gut. In short, anyone can benefit from eating fermented food, but especially people with digestive sensitivities like IBS, who normally avoid certain vegetables because of the gas and bloating they cause. Fermenting vegetables does the work for us before we eat them to help reduce those negative symptoms. So have I inspired you to make some dilly beans, or do you already make them and other fermented foods? Let me know below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. God bless.